We're talking to Madam Secretary Marcia Fudge of Warrensville Heights, who is stepping down from the Housing and Urban Department in the federal government, stepping down. So, Congresswoman and Madam Secretary, let me ask you, is this a retirement or is this a resignation?
It is a retirement from public life, Leon. I think that I have done this long enough, and I think it's just time. It's time to come home. I've been away a long time. And I'm looking forward to coming home,
Yeah.
spending more time with my family. I think it's going to be the next phase of my life is going to be a really good.
And by coming home, you mean coming back to Northeast Ohio, coming back to greater Cleveland area?
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Madam Secretary, what would you say were your chief accomplishments at HUD as the secretary there?
I would probably name three off the top. One, of course, is that we put an awful lot of resources into making sure that we could expand the number of people who were housed in this country. So dealing with the homelessness issue was huge for me because it is a crisis everywhere. Secondly, was ensuring that communities like the ones that we live in, Leon, get their fair share of federal resources. I was really, really proud to be able to come home and give a $35 million grant for Choice Neighborhood to our public housing. I was really happy to assist the city, our city and others, of course, with the rescue plan dollars that allowed us to start to build more housing in our community. I think that it is extremely important for people to understand what I really do. You know, we do urban development as well as we do housing. And so I've worked closely with our mayor and mayors across the country. But if I had to say one thing, I would say that we opened up the doors of HUD so that people could see what we do and know that we see them because there are so many people in need in this country, Leon, that I just wanted to give everything I had to be sure that I could address some of it, whether it be children aging out of foster care who nobody really dealt much with before we arrived, whether it was people coming home from the criminal justice system, finding ways to live in public housing once again or to live with their families, issuing 120,000 more vouchers than in a 3-year period than any other 3-year period in the last 20 years. So we did a lot. That's a lot to be proud of, and I'm really happy about it.
Let me ask you something. I see something on your biography that I found intriguing, and it says that you believe our housing issues do not fit into a one-size-fits-all approach. What do you mean by that?
But there are a number of things that we need to do. We first need to look at zoning. Leon, think about it. We have communities, and you know who they are, that you can only build a one single family home. We have buildings that you have to have certain size lots. You know, every community is different. Some communities need to find ways to build lots of affordable and low income housing. Some need to build housing that's more dense so that we can put more units in it. Some communities need to save their core communities like we do. You know, we have lots of vacant houses in our communities, Leon. We need to be able to preserve them. So every situation is different. Every city is different. Every certain homelessness is different in every community. So you have to look at it from its own individual perch and not just lump everything together.
Yeah. Madam Secretary, you were first elected to office in 1999 as the mayor of Warrensville Heights. You've got a long years, that's 25 years in public service. What prompted you to go into public service in the very first place, even before you became Congresswoman, which we will get to shortly?
Leon, when I was coming out of school, most people of color worked in public service. You know, my uncle, he came out, he was a postal worker. I have a family full of postal workers. You know, I had people that worked for the city. It was a place where people of color could get a good job and get fair and equal pay. So that was a place that was a natural for me when I first came out of undergraduate school in the early 70s. And so it is a place that I stayed, and I think that public service is what is in my blood. It is what I do. It is what I enjoy doing, and it's what I think I'm good at.
And you made some accomplishments during your years as the Congresswoman from the 11th Congressional District before President Biden tapped you to be the HUD Secretary. Tell me about those years as Congresswoman serving the 11th District here in Northeast Ohio.
I was fortunate to serve at a time when we had the resources to do some of the things the city needed. I brought more resources into my district than all of the Congress people around me combined, Leon. So we continue to grow as you look at the renaissance of the community with my relationships with the mayors that I work with, in particular Frank Jackson and others. We found ways to ensure that we got our fair share. And we did. No matter what community it was, we worked very, very hard to pull together the people who needed to be at the table to make sure that we could make our city grow. And I felt really, real good about it because we did an awful lot and we brought a lot of money home.
When you went to the president, President Biden, to say that you were going to step away, that you were going to retire from the job, what did he tell you?
Well, I would say that they were not happy. I mean, it's you get comfortable in a role and you get identified with a role. But the president is happy for me. He understands why I am leaving. I'm going to be supportive in other ways, and he's okay with it.
I know sometimes people say, well, it's hard to step away. For me, I retired, but I'm still working in television news even in retirement, although not as hard as I was working some years ago. Will you be able to step away into retirement, or is public service so much into your blood that you may find something to do?
I'm not going to say I won't find something to do. I probably will find something to do. I doubt very seriously that it will be in public life.
You don't see your name on a ballot? You don't see your name on a ballot?
No.
For
and if you see my name on the ballot, call me and tell me stop. Save yourself. No, man, I'm not. I don't plan to run for anything else. No.
Let's talk a little bit about let me go back to homelessness a little bit. We are seeing a number of immigrants into this country coming in from on the southern border, and they are in some of our major cities. Some of them are homeless. How do we find the balance point of immigration and people who are coming perhaps without jobs right now? Or is there a balancing point?
Well, I think that there is a balancing point. Certainly, we're a country of immigrants, which we all know. We need workers in a lot of areas where you don't have them. So I think that it's a combination of how we deal with work permits, how we deal with housing, not just immigrants. I mean, we have a housing issue in this country, period, writ large. So we need to find ways to embrace people who need our help. And I think that we are working to do that. Every city, of course, has its own issues because some cities have a larger problem than others.
Mm-hmm.
But every city in this country has a homelessness issue. And I think we just have to come together with the various agencies of the federal government and make it an all of government approach and not just expect that us or HHS or whoever it may be can solve the problem. The only way to solve this problem is to build houses.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we have to do.
I understand. I've got about 30 seconds remaining. You say you're coming back to Northeast Ohio. Will I be running into you at the local grocery store and the local pharmacy there in the southeast part of Cuyahoga County? Will
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing you. I want to see you so we can chat in the store.
We'll chat some more. Many thanks, Madam Secretary Marcia Fudge, who is retiring from HUD as a secretary, the longtime secretary, or the one-term secretary there, and former congresswoman and former mayor of the city of Warrensville Heights. We wish you well, and thanks so much for the interview.
Thank you, my friend.
Okay,
Look forward to seeing you.
We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.